David Muir, ABC's World News Tonight, America's most watched newscast. Now streaming same day with all the breaking news of the day on Disney Plus. Most watched, most trusted. Now on Disney Plus every night.
Tonight, breaking news, a car driving into a pride parade in Berlin, Germany. What we've just learned. Also, the Iran war widening, driving up gas prices here at home. Saudi Arabia and Iran's Houthi allies now trading retaliatory strikes in a battle over yet another critical waterway. President Trump huddling with his top advisors, weighing a major escalation in the war with Iran. But for the first time in nearly 2 weeks, the U.S. did not target Iran overnight. Our Matt Rivers reports from Jordan. President Trump finally taking the stage at the White House Correspondents Dinner, 3 months after an alleged gunman opened fire, sending the original event into chaos. Overnight, the president taking swipes at reporters and what he jokingly said about a potential run in 2028. In Maine, Democrats select a new Senate candidate in a critical race for the country that could determine the balance of power in Congress. We speak with the new candidate. The extreme heat from California to Wisconsin, more than 100 million Americans under alerts. Our weather team tracking it all. The wildfires raging in France and Spain now turning deadly. More than 250,000 people forced to flee their homes, and why the last stage of tomorrow's Tour de France has been shortened. San Francisco 49ers head coach Kyle Shanahan involved in a car crash, suffering serious injuries. Dramatic images of alleged subway surfers in New York City, how drone footage led to their arrests. New fears about the American woman missing in Grenada, what authorities are saying about her disappearance. And the coronation of King James as the city of brotherly love goes wild for their new star.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us on this Saturday. I'm Whit Johnson. We begin tonight with breaking news overseas. At least one person is dead, more than a dozen others injured after a car drove into a crowd at a pride parade in Berlin, one of the most popular and largest in Europe. Hundreds of thousands of people coming to celebrate what's known in Germany as Christopher Street Day. Let's bring in ABC's Marcus Moore. Marcus, what are you learning tonight?
Well, with the Associated Press is reporting tonight that one person has been killed and at least 15 injured after a car drove into a crowd of people who had gathered for that Pride event tonight. And police say that right now an active manhunt is underway for a suspect or multiple suspects. But at this moment, authorities are not elaborating on whether they believe this incident was an intentional act or an accident. The Pride event itself was canceled immediately and people told to go home. We've seen images from the scene showing numerous ambulances there. This unfolded in a park along the parade route. Authorities saying that some people suffered life-threatening injuries with a terrible night there in Berlin.
Marcus Moore with that breaking news. We appreciate it. Now to the widening war in Iran and the threat of major escalation now driving up gas prices here at home. The national average for gas once again surging above $4 a gallon and expected to keep climbing. In California, prices nearing $6 a gallon. And for the first time in nearly 2 weeks, the U.S. did not target Iran overnight, and Iran also paused their daily retaliatory strikes. This as President Trump is meeting with his advisors, weighing his next move in the war with Iran. ABC's Matt Rivers reporting from Jordan tonight.
Tonight, gas prices spiking across the U.S. once again amid threats of an escalating war with Iran. After nearly 2 weeks of trading deadly strikes, the U.S. and Iran have, at least for now, paused their daily attacks. But while American and Iranian weapons have gone quiet, the Houthis, an Iranian proxy group in Yemen, opening up a new front in the conflict, targeting Saudi oil exports, claiming they hit state-run oil operations in the Saudi kingdom. This week, declaring a maritime blockade on Saudi-linked shipping in the Red Sea's Bab el-Mandeb Strait, a vital trade route. Saudi Arabia releasing this video of what it says are their patrols. President Trump meeting with his national security team on Friday to discuss next steps, saying this week he's considering a massive attack on Iran.
There's two ways. I mean, it's you can just keep doing exactly what we're doing and take them apart piece by piece. We could do it in a more rapid fashion, which we might do, or we can negotiate with them, which we're also doing right now.
The president saying the U.S. is still in touch with the Iranians and insisting, yet again, that they are desperate to make a deal. All of this causing gas prices to surge.
To see prices reaching over $5, close to $6 is rough.
The national average, again, more than $4 per gallon and expected to keep rising. Diesel, again, over $5 a gallon. Gas prices in California, nearly $6 a gallon, the highest in the country.
But given the hurricane season that's upcoming, the war in Ukraine, and historic lows in the National Strategic Petroleum Reserve, experts say these high prices could be with us for quite some time.
All right, Matt Rivers for us tonight. And tune in to a special edition of This Week tomorrow morning. Martha Raddatz reports from Jordan with interviews with Democratic Senator Chris Van Hollen and Republican Congressman Mike Turner. Now to President Trump finally taking the stage at the White House Correspondents Dinner. This after gunfire abruptly ended the original event 3 months ago. The president taking swipes at reporters and what he jokingly said about a potential run in 2028. Here's ABC's Stephen Portnoy.
It was a do-over dinner, coming 3 months after an alleged attacker derailed the annual celebration of the First Amendment.
So in this country, we believe in freedom of speech. We settle our differences not with bullets, but with open and vigorous debate. And no deranged loser with a gun will ever change that. We can't let that ever happen.
President Trump speaking at the Correspondents' Dinner for the first time.
What do we do here? Is this supposed to be fun? Am I supposed to be serious? Am I supposed to be a comedian?
Trump did make a few jokes, like this one about his health secretary and the beef being served at dinner.
Bobby Kennedy, who's right here, personally ran over the cow in his car.
But most of his hour-long speech had the president taking swipes at members of the press, lines that largely fell flat in the room. Trump congratulating journalists who won awards for their work, including a team from the Wall Street Journal who wrote a story about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein that prompted Trump to file a defamation lawsuit. A judge dismissing that suit, which Trump has since refiled.
This has not been an easy evening, all these awards.
This dinner, a smaller-scale version of the event scrapped in late April, when authorities say a gunman attempted to storm the ballroom. The 31-year-old suspect has pleaded not guilty to 4 counts, including attempting to assassinate the president. Trump ending his remarks last night by jokingly saying he'd run for another term.
I won 3 times. Now I'm going to do it again. Thank you.
Trump also joked he'd attend the dinner again in the future if the group names the dinner after him. Whit.
Okay, Stephen Portnoy, thank you. Now to the critical Senate race that could determine the balance of power in Congress. Today, Democrats in Maine selecting Troy Jackson to take on Republican Senator Susan Collins in November. Democrats forced to make the change after their previous candidate suspended his campaign. Here's ABC's Christiane Cordero.
Tonight, with control of the Senate up for grabs, the Democratic Senate nominee for Maine is off to the races. Troy Jackson today winning a landslide of Democratic delegates.
Today, this becomes a general election campaign, and today we begin the work of defeating Susan Collins in November.
The 5th-generation logger taking on 5-term Senator Susan Collins. Jackson spoke with ABC News right after his nomination victory.
There's so much excitement here in Maine right now for, someone to be fighting for universal health care, Medicare for all, prescription drugs. I mean, the litany of economic issues. That's what's in my heart, and that's what I'm going to do.
Jackson's dubbed the liberal lumberjack. Collins says he's too progressive for the state.
He was Senator Sanders' lead for Senator Sanders' presidential campaign in Maine. He's a Bernie bro.
A sexual assault allegation sidelined the previous Democratic candidate, Graham Plattner. Plattner dropped out but denies the allegation. Jackson now at full speed in a new campaign with just 101 days to go.
This campaign is not about me. It's not about Graham. It's way bigger.
Democrats need to pick up 4 seats in November to flip the Senate, and Maine is among the states they consider a must-win.
Christiane Cordero for us tonight. Thank you. Overseas now to the deadly wildfires spreading across Western Europe. More than 250,000 people have been forced to flee their homes. The flames moving closer to cities like Bordeaux and Madrid during the peak of the summer travel season. And why the last stage of tomorrow's Tour de France has been shortened. Let's go back to ABC's Marcus Moore with this story.
Tonight, deadly wildfires racing across Western Europe, forcing more than 250,000 people to evacuate their homes and popular tourist destinations. Strong winds combined with high temperatures and drought conditions pushing the flames quickly across parts of southwestern France and central Spain. A wildfire in Valencia fanned by shifting winds, killing an elderly man. That fire now under control. Local officials in the hard-hit Madrid region say these are the worst fires they have ever seen. More than 70,000 people evacuated there. In Gironde, France, more than 160,000 people evacuated. The fires devastating an area 3 times the size of Paris. Workers at this nursing home nearby rushing residents away for their safety. And part of the famed Bordeaux wine country, a hotspot for American tourists, cleared out.
There were white particles coming down from the sky like snow.
Rebecca Papon, her 2 kids vacationing just south of Bordeaux. Authorities telling her to stay indoors after it became too dangerous to leave.
My son said it smelled like brisket. It was an absolutely horrible smell. The short walk to my garage was impossible because the air quality was so bad.
Officials with the Tour de France say the race distance will be shortened by 1/3 on the last day, so police can be diverted to assist regions in flames. Whit, some parts of the region are getting a bit of relief from the dry weather today, but another heat wave is coming next week. Whit.
Marcus Moore, our thanks to you tonight. Now to the dangerous heat here in the U.S. More than 100 million Americans facing heat alerts from Southern California to Wisconsin. Let's get right to ABC's meteorologist Leslie Lopez. And Leslie, this extreme heat is hitting a huge portion of the country.
That's right. Anywhere from Los Angeles to Phoenix, Wisconsin and Minneapolis. This is where we're seeing all of those heat alerts, a huge portion of the nation. We're getting out towards peak heat in the south, anywhere from Los Angeles to Phoenix, Denver tomorrow, reaching 100 degrees. And then all that heat starts to move out towards the upper Midwest. Look at Minneapolis, 103 degrees, unusually hot. That's the heat index. And all that hot and humid weather will be shifting out towards, it looks like, the upper Midwest, bringing with it the threat of severe weather. That means isolated tornadoes, a chance for some damaging wind whip, and then also the possibility of, again, large-sized hail.
Okay, something to watch in the days ahead, Leslie. Thank you. Now to new details tonight in that expanding parasite outbreak impacting at least 9 states with thousands of cases reported across the U.S. and what health officials are now saying about the potential link to shredded iceberg lettuce. Here's ABC's Andrew Dimbert.
Tonight, the cyclospora outbreak is growing, with 4 more states, Illinois, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Pennsylvania, now linked to contaminated shredded lettuce, bringing the total number to 9 states. Health officials say the likely source remains Taylor Farms iceberg lettuce from central Mexico. Health departments in those 9 states have now reported nearly 2,000 cases this summer, making this one of the largest foodborne illness outbreaks in decades if the cases are ultimately shown to be connected.
It's very likely that the scope of this outbreak is broader than Taco Bell, but we don't have a full picture of where these impacts are taking place.
Investigators believe Taco Bell was just one point of exposure, with other people reporting illness after eating lettuce served at a medical facility, suggesting the outbreak may reach far beyond a single restaurant chain. Experts say the parasite can take 1 to 2 weeks to cause symptoms, including severe gastrointestinal distress, making it much harder for people to remember where they ate or what they ordered.
I think we've been very good at zeroing in on a particular supplier, but there's still so much work to do to really give the answers to the American people.
Illnesses linked to this outbreak began back on June 22nd, and so far there have been 98 hospitalizations, but no deaths. Whit?
All right, Andrew Dimbert, thank you. Tonight, one of the NFL's top head coaches is recovering after a serious car crash. The 49ers saying Kyle Shanahan suffered non-life-threatening injuries last week. Sources telling ESPN Shanahan broke his nose, 3 ribs, one of his hands, and needed more than 40 stitches on his face. The club says he'll take part in limited team activities at the start of training camp. Now to the city of brotherly love and the coronation of King James, the celebration sweeping across Philadelphia now that LeBron James, the NBA's all-time leading scorer, is heading there. The 41-year-old is looking to bring a championship to the 76ers for the first time in more than 40 years. Here's ABC's Ike Ajachi.
Oh my God, he's coming! A decision sending shockwaves through the sports world. LeBron James is taking his talents to Philadelphia, announcing his last decision, signing with the 76ers for what will be his 24th NBA season. Writing in part, "I'm not going for money. I still want to compete, to win, and have a chance at another championship."
Wow, he picked Philly. I'm totally shocked.
The 4-time NBA champion agreed to a 2-year, $8 million contract, igniting celebrations across Philadelphia.
LeBron coming to the Sixers. We gonna win a chip in the playoffs. It's about to be a movie, man.
StubHub says demand for Sixers tickets has surged, while his new jersey is already selling out.
This is a landmark and historic move for LeBron James to go to Philadelphia because from a historical perspective, he's aiming potentially to play 25 seasons. That would be obviously an NBA record.
After 8 seasons with the Lakers, including an NBA championship and becoming the league's all-time leading scorer, if successful, LeBron James could become the first player to win NBA championships with 4 different franchises.
Big shakeup in the NBA. We'll be watching. Ike, thank you. There's still much more ahead on World News Tonight this Saturday. The dramatic end to an alleged kidnapping. What happened when police say one of the suspects tried to escape? Also, an eye in the sky, how New York City police say they caught 5 suspected subway surfers in the act. And a night at the ballpark goes up in smoke. An explosive celebration gets out of hand. Next tonight, 19 firefighters among 21 people hurt as fire rips through a New York City home. The flames this morning spreading through neighboring houses in Flushing, Queens. We're told one of the injured civilians is in serious condition. Nothing yet on the firefighters. Cause of the fire is unknown. An urgent search now for an American missing in the Caribbean. Police in Grenada say Elizabeth Waddle hasn't been seen since Wednesday. Authorities say she was last spotted on a beach on the south end of the island. Her husband on social media saying he's heading to Grenada to help with the search. Dramatic new video from Florida. SWAT teams swarm a Jacksonville motel, cornering a man wanted for allegedly abducting a 13-year-old girl. Suddenly, he jumps into an SUV, then moments later crashes into the building. That man and the girl's mother, who officials say does not have custody of the teen, both now facing kidnapping and other charges. We'll be right back. To the index now, police drones capturing a wild scene in New York City. The NYPD spotting 5 boys riding on top of a subway train right there. Police say the alleged subway surfers, ages 12 to 15, were not hurt. All now face reckless endangerment and other charges. Also this week, police say a 16-year-old girl was critically injured while subway surfing. Big blast after a baseball game in Virginia. A fireworks display misfires, sending some Richmond fans for the exits. The explosives soaring across the field. The home club, the Flying Squirrels, saying no one was hurt. The team now working with the company in charge of the show to figure out what went wrong. Still ahead, Spiderman unmasked. Finally tonight, the real-life superhero revealed. Americans still marveling over his quick thinking.
We're now getting our first look at the man behind the mask. You may have seen this now viral video out of Jonesboro, Arkansas. A man in a wheelchair struggling to make it across 6 lanes of traffic before the light changes, until suddenly Spider-Man swings into action.
I just happened to be at the right spot whenever that man was trying to get across the road, and I just had to jump in there and save him.
The superhero leaping out of his car, quickly pushing the man safely to the other side.
Tried to wheel him across before the light turned green really fast, and just got back in my vehicle and drove off.
Just like Peter Parker, this hero's identity remained a mystery until now. Meet Christopher Hellenthal.
With the suit or not, I would have done it either way.
Earlier that day, Hellenthal had been dressed as Spider-Man for a children's superhero event at the trampoline park where he works.
The mayor had asked to meet me, and I met up with him, and they gave me these 2 medallions here. One's for Jonesboro and one's for going above and beyond. And I just thought I was very appreciative of it.
For Hellenthal, wearing the suit is not so much about make-believe, it's about spreading joy.
At least once a week, I will dress up in that suit and I'll drive around Jonesboro just to get reactions, just to make people feel a little bit better, make everyone just kind of smile and laugh.
Just one friendly neighbor who saw someone in need.
Saving the day with his mask on and everything. Well done. Thanks so much for watching tonight. I'm Whit Johnson in New York. Have a great night.
David Muir, the most trusted anchor in America, the most watched anchor in America. Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir the #1 newscast in America.